First up today is Aber. We're blessed to have one of the founders of MySpace, CTO, who moved into the games business and has been doing some great things, and in the casino genre has one of the top-performing bingo games. So thank you, Aber, for coming all the way to Singapore, and thank you, everybody that actually got up and showed up to the conference on time.
All right, thanks, Brock. Good morning, everyone. And thanks again for coming this morning. I know it's early, especially after last night. So how many people have heard people refer to the game industry as a hits-driven business? A lot of you? Yeah, I have too. And I don't really like that explanation of this industry. I think it has a little bit of a negative context. It implies that you need to hit a home run in order to be successful in this industry. And I disagree with that. And actually, if you compare what a hit is to baseball, you can get a single, double, triple, or a home run. And the same thing is true in games. You step up to the plate, you can get a hit. Singles and doubles are great in this industry. It means that your games are successful and you're making progress and you're setting yourself up for success in the future for potentially hitting that home run. So what we're going to talk about today is understanding the risks and inputs of every game that you build that keeps you in the business for a long time. And at SGN, we develop a lot of virtual casino games, and we'll be using our casino games as an example. So your primary goal should be to create an evergreen game. And what does that mean? That means that you want to try to eliminate that typical decay curve that you see in a video game, where it gets really popular for a while and then it decays very quickly. In order to stay in this business, you want to try to keep your games, people engaged with your games for as long as possible. Let's look at one of our Bingo Blingo game, which is our multiplayer casino game in the bingo industry, as an example. So we started it 19 months ago, and today we're seeing our highest numbers, our highest level of engagement. And the reason for that is we started off with 6 people building the game. And since then, we've kept on adding more people to the team. We now have 20 people on the team continuing to create new content, to look at analytics, and to keep people engaged and spending as much as possible. You also need to take a look at your KPIs through a deep analysis of data. And we'll dig into that a lot deeper. Understanding who you're targeting. This is extremely important. If you want to take again using baseball as an example, take a huge swing and try to hit a home run, you want to try to target everyone. But if you want to play it a little bit safer, choose very specifically who you're going to target. Males and females is a good place to start. Age demographic and different regions are also a great place to start. Choose a game that's easily cross-promotable. This is kind of obvious in a lot of ways, but if you have users on a specific game, so a game that's a casino game, for example, that's targeted towards women, don't launch a NASCAR-themed slot machine. That's probably not going to cross-promote very well when you're launching it. So games in the same genre that target the same type of people really help you get off the ground faster when you cross-promote your games. And if you want to play it safe, choose proven game mechanics and monetization mechanics inside your game. Inventing brand new game mechanics is great. Some people are going to do that, but most of them are going to fail. There's game mechanics that have been around for a long, long time. Use those and plus those. Improve them as much as possible. So how's everyone doing? Anyone falling asleep yet? Okay, good. So let's take a look at deep analytics. At the very minimum, you need to walk into the office every day and be able to know your basic KPIs. Your retention, your lifetime value, your ARPDAUs, your engagement. All of these are basic fundamentals that you need to know every single day off the top of your head. But in order to really succeed, you need to take a much deeper dive into these analytics. And specifically, You need to have an experimentation platform. All of your users are like your patients. You should be doing experiments on them every single day and to your whole group to find out who is engaged the most for what features. Breaking out your KPIs by cohort. So looking at your whole group of users is not enough. You need to look at them by demographic, by specific feature, by what region they're in. For example, you may have a group, for some reason people in France may love your product more than people in the US. We see this all the time with our casino games. Different regions in particular like certain specific features. So if you're not breaking out all of these KPIs by specific groups, you're going to miss that. It's just going to be blended in. You need to continually look at monetization trends within the game. We are giving special starter packs and special promotions to our users on a daily basis. This really drives revenue. So taking a look at different groups of users, how they're purchasing, there's payers, there's non-payers, all these are very important groups. And then this is something that's very easy to do, but surprisingly I see a lot of people not doing this. Just log everything. Storing data is really cheap. Every single event, store it in a database. If you don't need it, no big deal. If you need to do an analysis on it later, at least you have it there. Oh, I see a sleeper right here. Tap that guy in the head for me. All right, effective marketing. Besides, this could be one of the most boring looking slides that I've ever done, but it's one of the most important. You need to figure out how to drive users to your game, and you do this through marketing. Your most important channel for marketing is your cross-promotion network. These are your most valuable users because they're already engaged, you have data on them, that you know how they're spending, and that you have the added benefit of them being free. So make sure you take advantage of all of the users that you currently have in order to cross-promote to them. Effective user acquisition requires strong knowledge of the industry and data, and what I mean by this is it changes very quick. The spray and pray model where you take $100,000 and you spend it to try to drive users, that's not enough. You need to understand what type of users you're trying to acquire. You need to understand the different channels that you're purchasing users on. And to make it even more complicated, that changes over time. So you might have a hot pocket of users in a certain country, and you're buying, and all of a sudden the CPI will change, and you need to find other pockets. This is also a very competitive market. The casino industry has big guys like Playtika and Double Down Casino, and they are paying a lot of money for their users, let's say up to $4 or $5 per install. So all of us in the casino industry have to compete with that. And the way you do it is by finding pockets of users that they're not purchasing. Everything's done on a real-time bidding system, so you're competing against everyone else in the industry to acquire users. So the way you compete is by using data to out-analyze everyone. So every marketing campaign needs to be tracked by cohort, by creative, by advertiser, by platform, and end user. And so start with some creative that you're advertising. Then you need to move down to the advertiser that you're promoting on. Then you need to move down to the specific platform, and finally the end user, and then take data on that end user to see how they're behaving. All of that needs to be tracked. And there's great systems to help you do this. Take a look at it, or I can give you some more info later. We know how much a user costs to acquire by source, by device, and by day. And so again, this can change. So if you think you've got everything figured out one day, take a look at your data the next day, and everything can be different. So it's just continual data analysis. The theme here is obviously analyzing all of your data as frequently as possible. Another key ingredient to being successful in game development is cross-platform. These days, users expect games to be available on multiple platforms. I always like to compare this to the movie industry. How does the movie industry go cross-platform? You can watch a movie on the big screen, on your laptop, on your TV, but they don't pick up and reshoot a movie when they're distributing on a DVD or for an airplane, right? They're porting that content to different platforms. The same thing needs to be true with games. I see a lot of developers out there that will develop a game for the desktop, and then when they're ready to go mobile, they take a new set of developers and they start fresh. Cross-platform game development should use a unified code base and allow you to make money on multiple platforms with a single code base. This allows you to be much more successful because it makes your development much more efficient, and you make money in 3-4 places instead of one. Let's use one of my favorite examples is Candy Crush. You'll see they actually incentivize people to play on multiple platforms. You can play on the desktop and then move over to mobile, and you'll get more lives. So we're going to be seeing that more and more, and I'll have an example as well. The end result of cross-platform is having users play anywhere they want. They're much happier, they're much more engaged, and they monetize better. So it's a no-brainer. We have to do this in the industry. Bingo Blingo, as an example. It's a cross-platform game. It is available on the web at bingoblingo.com. It's available on Facebook. It's available on iOS and Android, both in Google Play and Amazon. And this uses one code base. It uses a unified backend. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. You're playing the exact same game using a single sign-on all in the backend. So you need specific technology in order to do this. There's lots of different technologies that you can choose. There's a bunch of competing technologies. The key is have that unified code base. Don't branch your code. Then if you develop a new feature on the web, for example, and you have a breakthrough, then you need to start over and do it on mobile. If you have a single code base, you get the benefit of all those improvements on all of your platforms. For the things that are specific to certain platforms, develop extensions and libraries that work specifically for Android or iOS or in Amazon. Some of the technologies that you should be looking at right now, there is Adobe Air. With the new version of Adobe Air and Flash 11, we've seen fantastic performance porting it from the web over into mobile. One of the downsides of that is Adobe is now not really supporting Flash like they used to. They're already starting to think about the next generation technologies like HTML5. You can take a look at Cocos 2DX. That is a very mature framework that now has HTML5 extensions for the front end. What's great about this is it works very well for mobile, but then you're relying on HTML5 for the desktop. And if you ask me, HTML5 still has some issues and some workarounds. I think it's the future, but we're still a year or two off from it being fully fleshed out. And then, of course, Unity. How many people are using Unity? Great. I think Unity is probably one of the most up-and-coming, probably has the brightest future for cross-platform development, mainly because it works really, really well on mobile. And now Facebook is starting to support the browser install for the web. So the downside has always been having to require that browser plugin for Unity on the web. But now that Facebook's supporting it, they're going to really, really push getting distribution out through the web. So let me summarize some of the things that we discussed. All of us want to build the most fun and innovative games as possible. But you don't necessarily need to step to the plate and try to hit a home run every time. That's a high-risk strategy. Try hit singles, doubles, and triples, and then later on trying to hit a home run. Those that are successful in the business need to be able to sift through big data, analyze KPIs on a daily basis, and make adjustments. This is a data-driven business, so take advantage of that. The gaming business requires those of us that are successful to be master direct marketers. This is something that we all need to figure out. Acquiring users is part of the business, whether it's through paying for them, cross-promoting them, or viral channels. Games must be cross-platform. This is expected by users these days. And being great at game portfolio choice, game design, analytics, and media buying, you can take a lot of the hits-driven nature out of this business. So thank you.
Thank you, Aber, and everybody for making it early this morning. It seems like the room is quickly filling up. Would like to open up the room for questions. Does anyone have any questions for Aber? Well, I know I've got a few. The first one being, you touched on cross-platform development, which I think in the casino space is incredibly important. And historically, you guys have been Facebook. You've moved into mobile. And what percentage of Take Bingo Blingo's traffic today is on Facebook versus mobile?
Right. We're seeing about 50-50 split between Facebook and mobile. However, what's really interesting is users monetize much better on mobile, especially on iOS. So for the same number of users on Facebook versus iOS, you make about 30 to 40% more per user just by being on iOS. Another really great platform that monetizes well is Amazon. But Amazon has kind of the opposite problem of Google Play. Amazon users monetize really well, but there's not that many of them. In Google Play, there's tons of users. We get a lot of installs. They just don't monetize that well. But the key is you need to be on all these platforms to take advantage of how they're growing, how they're changing, and how they're evolving.
We've got about 1 minute left of Aber's time. Does anyone have any other questions? Well, I will throw one more out there. Just out of curiosity, since we're in Singapore and in Asia, a lot of development is done here. You guys are a Los Angeles-based company. Offshore development. Where do you have geographical footprint for development and why?
Right. So a lot of our core technology for the internal platform is done in California, both in the Bay Area and Southern California. For our game studios, we tend to use, we have a very large studio in Argentina, and we do some development in Mexico as well. The main reason around that is because of the time change. We really prefer to be in similar time zones to our development offices. We can be on video conference all day long. I highly recommend taking advantage of video conference technologies for your offshore development as much as possible. But we are very interested in partnering and speaking to Asian developers. We're constantly watching how the gaming trends are happening in Asia. We're interested in taking some of the ideas to the US, as well as taking some of our ideas here to Asia.
All right,
everyone.
thank you, Aber.
Thank you.